not bad. On this anyways. If this is a house shot, be good to go. And that's good, it can get back from over there, so. Most time big balls won't recover from about that far out.
The Ion Max is not just a stronger solid version of the Ion Pro, it's a whole different animal, and it releases on September 20th. Tobias is our tester for this one as we look at one of the highest shelf appeal releases of the year thus far. To start with the details, the center is Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, and the lane condition is the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern that comes in at 42 feet, 25.5 mils. The graph is linked in the description. To reiterate, especially to everyone that got excited or upset before checking the details, the Ion Max has a big core tweak that separates it from the Ion Pro, much like the difference between the Extreme Envy and Envy Tour. The Ion Max has a higher density puck added to the bottom of the Element AI core, making it the Element Max AI core, and basically adding 20 points of differential to make it simple. A lot more flare, which means more traction and more aggression. Same low 247 RG, big bump up to an 055 differential, and same 014 int diff. Strong numbers, but medium amount of asymmetry. Little stronger than the Epoch core from the Eternity line, but marginally weaker than the Defiant LRG core from the Gem line. The cover is the well-known NRG Solid that comes out of the box at 2000 grit, which is where it's at for filming. And with the recent news of the Gem and Magic Gem being discontinued, all eyes have turned to the Ion Max as a possible replacement/upgrade. I've mentioned this before, but NRG and Microtracks are the same thing for all intents and purposes. I believe Roto's version is or was at some point slightly stronger, but they're both very strong nano-based covers, so with the core being very similar to the Gem and the covers being virtually the same, on paper we're most of the way there, and on the lane we're extremely close. Stu Williams mentioned in his review that he thought the Max was the more continuous ball. It succeeded better from further left than the Gem does. I also had a reviewer who I trust say the same thing, and on the lane, Tobias feels like he's having the same experience. The Max isn't quite as chuggy or grindy as the Gem. It seems to be slightly cleaner, slightly faster, but not quite to the degree of the Magic, so the Max appears to squeeze itself in between the Gem and the Magic, and that was already a pretty tight window. This is all good news because both balls were great. Having a big ball that digs and controls the lane from straight, but which you can continue chasing it deeper with on the soup makes things so much easier. Typically balls this strong and heavy rolling don't want to pick up and continue, but this one does. Short interruption to remind you to check the description. Lots of good and helpful things down there, including a link to Bowler's Mart to get one of these ordered, links to instructional videos, plus I have a new shirt and hoodie design up on CoolWick. Suck it up, Buttercup. And code ROSEALL10 will get you 10% off your order at checkout. Links to the shirt and hoodie are also down there. Obviously, this is a top-of-the-bag ball. They don't get much stronger than this, but this is pretty usable strength. Tobias did try to throw it on his house shot and said no prayer he could use it on that, but it hangs out pretty good on this one. I think if you're rev dominant, you're going to need oil. It's not going to be a house shot ball for most people, and if you have lower revs, especially paired with higher speed, it's going to probably be a little slow. If you get closer to 30 mils, heavier volume, you're going to need some more surface. That's par for the course for that much oil. But this is among the strongest balls on the market. Extreme Envy is a little cleaner. The core isn't quite as heavy rolling. The Pure Madness is more in OG Gem territory. It's earlier and slower than the Max. The Mesmerize is probably still a little stronger, but it's also cleaner and sharper. Jackal Ambush is a little earlier and slower, so on and so forth. You're still going to see some of the gems out there for the pros, but I think they'll be pretty quick to adopt this one. If you're looking for a gem or a magic replacement, this is absolutely it. I think it's probably Storm's first true heavy oil ball since the proton physics. The Supernova wasn't really it, and the DNA wasn't anywhere near as strong as it was supposed to be. Comparing it to the Harsh Reality, since it's the current existing big ball in the SPI lineup, they're very similar from straighter angles, very similar traction, length, friction response, etc. The Harsh is a little more archy, while the Max is more of a round climbing tumble, splitting hairs there definitely, but the Harsh resists angle quite a bit more than the Max does. Both Tobias and Zach could make the Harsh cover the boards if they really worked at it, but it wants to be earlier and slower from straighter angles. This doesn't mean the Max is a better ball, but it does all the same things the Harsh does from straighter, plus it lets you move deeper. Now, depending on your game and where you play on the lane, you may not need that, be interested in that, or want a ball that's Ion Max bright and flashy. The harsh may fit your eye better, and sometimes those little subtle things can have an effect. There have been some balls that were okay for me, but the way the logos swirled made it look like the ball was doing something it actually wasn't. Stuff like that's kind of weird, but sometimes you just have to go with it. Bonus comparison to the Ion Pro to illustrate the size of the difference. Both out of box, so they're not the same surface as the Pro comes at 4,000, but if you drill them and throw them out of the box, this is how you'll experience them and how I'd probably recommend keeping them. The Pro is a rounder shape than the Max and is quite a bit cleaner and sharper than the Max, partly due to the surface, partly due to the Pro having a cleaner cover, and partly due to it not flaring as much, so it's not going to get as much traction as early because the flare rings are quite a bit closer together. Now, while the Pro can keep up with the Max from the straighter angles, it doesn't like getting much inside third arrow either, like the Harsh. It goes from seeming pretty strong from straighter to getting really clean and long from deeper, while the Max keeps on trucking. The Max isn't just a step up from the Pro, it's at least 2 steps, if not 3. I would probably put the Absolute Power as a ball up, followed by the DNA Coil as a step up from that, and the Max finally being a step up from the Coil. Once again, the Ion Max releases on September 20th with the Sublime Focus. I also have a video featuring Tobias up for that one, plus I drilled my first SPI ball of the year recently. Put your guesses down below on what you think I just had to have. Remember to check out the description for all the goodies, and stick around for the outtakes and on-lane comments Tobias had. They're fun, but it's not just fluff. This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.
Ball off the shot. Definitely looks a lot better than the house shot last night, that's for sure. Whoops. I mean, that's good, it can get back from over there, so. Most time big balls won't recover from about that far out. I got back. I didn't think I was going to get back, so I got a little farther right than I wanted to, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to make it back. But. Oh my God! Edit that one.